Hi, everybody. Dom Tiberi joined by Adam King, and it is official. The Buckeyes dropped 4 spots in the latest college football playoff ranking that came out. Tonight, the Buckeyes go from number 2 to number 6. The good news is, Adam, they're a lock to get into the playoff, and it's looking more and more like a Tennessee-Ohio State showdown is coming. Probably in Ohio Stadium. I can't see a scenario where it would change.
No, yeah, I mean,
we're looking at either December 20th or 21st. For you folks at home, we will know for sure this Sunday. That is when the bids come out for the final playoff, and that starts around noon on Sunday. So Buckeyes, 6th, that's big.
It is big, and obviously the big thing we were watching tonight was that Ohio State-Tennessee game. They're both done. So where they ranked them is where they are going to be ranked. And with that, Ohio State in that presumed matchup that people have talked about would host, which is big, another chance to get back at the shoe. But the other interesting thing is Georgia just right above Ohio State. They have to play Texas. If they lose to Texas, the committee is going to have a discussion on their hands. Does a 3-loss Georgia team stay ahead of a 2-loss Ohio State team?
I don't think so.
Yeah, and I don't think so either. The other discussion that you now have to have is Penn State is all the way up to 3. If they lose to Oregon in convincing fashion, if it's a 2-touchdown game,
do they stay?
Does a 2-loss Penn State team stay ahead of a 2-loss Ohio State team?
Ohio State beat them.
Ohio State beat them on their turf. So in that regard, I think Ohio State is done dropping. I don't think we'll see them move back at all, but they could move up. And with that, it's going to be interesting because I keep circling that 6th seed. We don't know who is going to be, where exactly, but that 6th seed gets a great path because they're likely going to play whoever is that 3 seed, which is going to be an SMU maybe, is going to be a Clemson, and then you get Texas, and then you get Oregon. So
what I like is bringing a Southern school up to Ohio. For years, the Buckeyes had to play bowl games in warm weather states, down in Florida, down in Atlanta, whatever. Come up here and see what northern hospitality is like if it's 20 degrees. I can't imagine a night game, but they're talking it would be a night game. And we all know how cold it gets around here. It's freezing out there right now, but that would be very, very interesting. For you folks at home, the other thing I want to say, and we've had a couple days to stew on the loss to that team up north. It is time to put that away. And I know this is kind of going to be sacrilege, what I'm about to say, but things are changing in college athletics. We're witnessing the professionalism of it. The college football that we grew up with, they don't play 10 games anymore. Now they're playing 12, and now there's a 12-team playoff, and now they're going to go to 16. It is professional sports. And the thing you guys have to remember is that, like the NFL model, they have rivals. Yeah. Cleveland hates Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh hates Cleveland. They play twice. The Super Bowl champion 49ers, they were not undefeated. They were not perfect. And what I'm trying to say is, yeah, it's been special, the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry. And it's always going to be a big game. It's always going to be a rivalry. But the sanctity of it changed when we went to 18 teams in the Big Ten, and we're going more. And with the format they have, where if Michigan was any good and Ohio State was any good, they're going to play 2 weeks in a row with the system they have. And then they may meet again in the playoff. I'm just saying the world is changing. I don't particularly care for it, but it's changing. And the Ohio State-Michigan game, as big as it is, it's changing.
It is changing. The passion is still there. I think the passion will never leave, which is all that matters. It was an interesting thing. In the 120-year history of this rivalry, Ohio State has never walked off the field after a loss, knowing that they are still going to get a shot at a national title. I mean, they knew walking off the field they weren't going to drop out of the playoff rankings. No. Even when they got the chance against Georgia after losing that game, they didn't know if they were going to back into the playoffs that year. This was different. And there is a lot frustration, confusion in Buckeye Nation. they have a chance to win a national title, very much. They are the number 6 team in the country. They have the 3rd best odds, the 2nd best odds by some to win the title behind Oregon. They played Oregon to 1 point on the road. This is a very good football team that played a very, very bad game against Michigan. And that's in the past now. You have to regroup. We're going to hear from Ryan Day tomorrow with signing day. This team is moving forward. Tonight felt like the first time that you actually get to move forward with some idea. And I like that Ohio State will get one more shot in the shoe and get to put that lasting image out of their mind.
And, you know, I'm an old school guy. I loved the rivalry, and I love the rivalry, but it is changing. And, you know, they put so much pressure on it. Well, let me ask you this, folks. Would you rather be Michigan, 7-5, you beat your rival, but you're going nowhere? Or would you rather be Ohio State, ugly loss, they did not play well, heartbreaking loss, but the sun came up and you have, what, 2nd, 3rd best odds to win the national title? I know what I would prefer.
Well, it's interesting you say that because there are a lot of people that have argued the other way around saying, I'd rather beat Michigan. I think those people are going to come back down to earth here now that we hit the reset button because, listen, they only hand out one national championship trophy. Right. It is the ultimate goal. And so, yes, they wanted a Big Ten title. Yes, they wanted to beat Michigan. And listen, they have a lot of work to do if they're going to win a national championship. They've got to regroup. But what we learned today is that their path likely runs through a home game. And with it, you know, all hope is not lost. And as you said, the sun did come up.
And, you know, I like the bragging rights as much as anyone, but think about this. When the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, they were not perfect.
No.
And there were teams that beat them. Didn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, it was nice. You could say, hey, I beat the Super Bowl champion, but guess what? You're not the Super Bowl champion.
The year that Ohio State, 2014, there were Virginia Tech fans that had the score that said Virginia Tech, the national champions. That's great.
Congratulations.
I don't think anybody talks about that anymore.
And you know what? The national championship is what matters now. You know, no one wanted to beat Michigan more than Ryan Day and the players. They wanted their gold pants. But you know what? The sun came up, as I said, and now they've got a shot to win it all. And why not go on a run? I mean, this team's as good as anyone. I've watched college football all year, and there are no great teams. Mm-hmm. The best team in the country right now is Oregon, and Ohio State lost to them by 1 point with what they was hoping, 1 second. 1 second.
I will say this, something that's going to start, and the bracket is confusing to a lot of people.
I know.
Who wins, where they go. The one thing that is going to be very interesting is as it plays out, there's going to be somebody that gets an Arizona State team in the first round. It might end up being the 6th seed. It might end up being the 7th seed, how all this plays out. That's going to be interesting for Ohio State to watch because there's also a world where Ohio State earns the 6th seed, which would be the dream, but they end up playing Alabama as the 11th seed. That doesn't feel like a real good win on the draw. I think Alabama has struggled at times this year, but they are Alabama. Yeah. Although, I'll tell you this, those ticket sales, Ohio State, Alabama, December playoff game in the shoe.
At night. Roll Tide, welcome to the North.
Yeah,
enjoy the weather.
I think they'd want to play that game, and, you know, I think they'd be okay playing it in sub-zero temperatures.
You know, and the other thing is if we start seeing this happen, night games in December, how far along till they say, hey, we need a dome?
Well, do you remember Gene Smith? It's ironic. The first when this conversation wanted to go to Indy, and here you go, first year, and that looks like it's going to be the conversation. So it'll be really interesting to see not only where the Buckeyes wind up, but who they're projected to play. I have to sit down and break that out a little more, who you'd want to root for. If you are a Buckeye fan and you want them to get the highest possible seed, I think you want two things this weekend.
Do me a favor, don't shoot the messenger. I understand that. You know, I like the old school, but you know what? The genie's out of the bottles, I like to say, and he ain't going back in. And, you know, like I said before, the fact that you could play a Michigan 3 times in like a month's period.
It's a new world.
It's a whole new world, folks. He's Adam King. I'm Dom Tiberi. Keep it on 10 TV and 10 TV Plus.